The July City Council meeting is July 1st, 2024. This is our one regular City Council meeting for the month. So we will start this, as we always do, by standing for our prayer and then Pledge of Allegiance. God our Father, we are all your servants. We trust in your mercy and love. We trust also in your guidance. Direct the meetings of this council of North College Hill to make good decisions for all the people who live in our city. Give all the members of this council wisdom and insight to know what is best for our city. Help us to be fair and just in all our decisions. Bless us all to do the very best we can. With your help and guidance, we pray this in your name. Amen. Call this meeting to order. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, good evening. Good to see a good crowd out here tonight. We will get into our agenda here in a minute. I just want to remind anyone, if you wish to address us at the time of public participation, there is a sign-in sheet at the back table with Mr. Hedger to get signed in to do that. So please do so if you wish to address council. I hear a car alarm.
Like, is it mine? Anybody identify?
Which one is it?
I'm not mine, so.
All right, sorry for the delay there.
It's still going on.
Mr. Hedger, when you are prepared, please call the roll.
Miss Orb,
Here.
Mr. Wald,
Here.
Miss Dukestein,
Present.
Miss Alexander,
Here.
Mr. Wilson,
Present.
Mr. Davis,
Here.
Mrs. Underwood.
All right, I did get a notice from Ms. Underwood this afternoon that she would not be here this evening.
Mr. President,
Ms. Zorb,
I'd like to make a motion that we excuse Ms. Underwood from tonight's meeting.
Mr. President,
Ms. DeWald.
I'll second that.
Motion by Ms. Zorb, second by Ms. DeWald to excuse Ms. Underwood. Any discussion? Mr. Hedger, please call the roll.
Miss Orb,
Yes.
Mr. Wald,
Yes.
Miss Dukestein,
Yes.
Miss Alexander,
Yes.
Mr. Wilson,
Yes.
Mr. Davis.
Yes.
Motion passed. 6-0.
Thank you. Okay, so the first item that we have on our agenda this evening is a swearing-in ceremony for a new police officer. So I believe I will be turning this over to the mayor.
Let's go up to the podium over there. The lectern, sorry.
Good evening, everyone. This is always an exciting time for us when we get a new member of our family, and I guess your family is really active here in our community, and so you wanted to be a part of that, and we welcome you and we appreciate you. I understand you've already been out, and we welcome you and we want to thank you again, and we'll do this. If you would raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Demetrius Dallas Jr.,
I, Demetrius Dallas Jr.,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
or affirm that I will support the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America,
or affirm that I will support the Constitution and laws of the United States of America,
the Constitution and laws of the State of Ohio,
the Constitution and laws of the State of Ohio,
and laws and ordinances of the City of North College Hill,
and laws and ordinances of the City of North College Hill,
to which I am appointed and to the best of my ability will discharge the duties of police officer.
to which I am appointed, and to the best of my ability will discharge the duties of a police officer.
This oath being sworn two before me on this first day of July 2024. Congratulations. I will turn it over to Chief Cheney.
Good evening, everyone. We are super excited to have Mr. Dallas with us. He is obviously had been a resident of North College Hill. He went to North College Hill High School. He wanted to work here. It's the only place he asked to work. So we snatched him up, and he's been on the road for about 14 days. Still in FTO training, so he's probably still got about, I don't know, 13 weeks left. So you won't see him on his own for quite a while, but all indications he's doing very, very well. We're super excited to have him, and when you see him out there, just say hi to him. Anything?
This is the hard part.
I didn't really have anything planned to say. It's a bunch of cameras, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I got it. Thank you. I ain't had nothing to say now. I gotta find something to say. Okay, I just want to thank my family and everyone who helped me to get to where I am now. I will thank you all for allowing me to do this for you. And that's pretty much it.
Thank you.
Thank you for your service, sir.
That's awesome when you have one of your hometown people step up and do this. So thank you very much, P.O. Dallas, for making this commitment to the citizens of North College Hill. We greatly appreciate it. All right, that takes care of the swearing-in ceremony. So thank you for coming, for the family members for coming and being a part of this. All right, we will move on in our agenda, and the next item is to actually approve the agenda.
Mr. President,
Ms. Zorb?
so I have a couple issues with the agenda tonight. The first is for ordinance number 4, the salary ordinance. The information that was given to council for this meeting does not correlate to the information that we talked about in executive session. So I don't know if we want, I mean, it's vastly different. There's a lot of things that have changed. There's a lot of numbers different. There's a lot of information different. So I don't know if we want to remove this and fix it, go into executive session tonight, talk about it, or if we want to, I mean, there's a lot of changes that need to be made, a lot. My second point on tonight's agenda is Resolution 8. The resolution documentation itself refers to an MOU and says that the MOU is attached, and to my knowledge, council has not received that MOU. So it's basically a meaningless document at this point because we don't know what we're going to vote on.
Mr. President,
Ms. Dukestein?
I believe that the rest of council received the MOU with the Budget and Finance Committee meeting. And then as it relates to the other ordinance, if you guys want to go in an executive session and new business, we can do that and look over what's different about the salary ordinance per what we talked about.
So if I could ask, you said when was the MOU given?
Should be with Budget and Finance. I sent it out in between our meeting time, and I promised to send it out, and I said, as promised, in the email.
Mr. President,
Ms. DeWald?
was that sent to all council members?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. President,
There are more than one. There's a, oh,
Ms. Zorb?
so I have an email that, that talks about the MOU. The subject line is MOU wage adjustments documents, but there's no MOU in that email.
And that email you're referencing was sent on 6/19, and
Yes,
Ms. Dukes Dean,
yes, sir.
you said there was one sent on the night of the committee meetings?
no, it should have been between our last meeting where we had executive session, which I think I rescheduled for the 18th or 19th, so it was after that. But neither here nor there. The fire department went through a thorough explanation of what would change.
Mr. President,
Ms. Zorb?
I will grant that the fire department went through the changes, but all due respect, there were 3 people of council there. The rest of council did not hear that, and the rest of council doesn't have an opportunity to read that.
Mr. President,
Ms. Dukes Dean?
my gamut of emails, there's more than one. There's like 1, 2, 3. One has 6 attachments. One has 2, and the other one has 2. So altogether, there's 10 attachments on the 19th. You would have had to read through all of those.
Okay, so Ms. Zorb, you proposed a couple of options regarding each of these. The first one was the salary ordinance and going to executive session, so is that what you would wish to do when we get to new business?
Yes, sir.
We can do that then? Okay. And then on the second one, Resolution 8, in regards to the MOU. Are you proposing that we pull this first reading, or
I
go
propose
ahead
that
and
we
have the first
remove,
reading?
I propose that we remove Resolution 8, 2024 from the agenda with insufficient documentation.
Mr. President,
Ms. Dukes Dean?
they have the documentation.
Mr. President, I'm going to need a better detail as to when I received it, because I've looked.
Mr. President,
Who was that? Oh, Ms. DeWald.
I've not found it in my emails either. I have the 19th pulled up.
Has any other member of council found this?
Mr. President,
Ms. Alexander.
are we referring to the attachment that says MOU wages? Is that the one we're referring to?
Mr. President?
Ms. Zorb.
So that particular document is only the legislation. The MOU is not there. And if you read it through that document, that resolution, it even states that the MOU will be in a separate attached document. And that separate attached document is not included. I asked the clerk, and he was not provided that document either.
I mean, I will say that I am looking through this email and I am not seeing one that is actually the MOU. I'm seeing the legislative document. I'm seeing a finance report. I don't actually see the MOU.
Mr. President,
Ms. Dukes Dean.
Mr. Dieters, can I have you send that over to the rest of council? Because I sent them what you sent me.
Sure, I can take a look to see if I can find it. Do you know what date it would have been?
I'm looking for your email now. Mr. President,
Ms. Dukestein.
we can postpone that piece of legislation until next month so that we have the opportunity to send out council all of the complete documents, and they have the thorough opportunity to read through the MOU since they're feeling like they didn't receive it. Kyle Suttles also sent it out as well.
Mr. President,
Madam Mayor.
just asking if council would consider a first read just for this month. and
Okay, so
then-
that's what I mean, I would rather not pull a first reading off, but obviously if somebody wants to make a motion to pull the first reading off, we'll call the vote. Is it acceptable to leave the first reading on and get the documents? Or, like I said, if you want to,
As long as I have a
Make a motion.
guarantee to get the documentation this evening.
Mr. President,
Ms. DeWald?
may I poll the other members and see if they've received the email?
Sure.
Has anyone on that end of the table received the email from Ms. Dukestein with the MOU?
I have not received it.
Thank you.
So we're okay to leave the reading on?
What?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No.
Go ahead, Mr. Davis.
I'm currently checking. I did see and read the initial email from 619. Now it does have it, and it appears the letter from the local states that it's been accepted, but it doesn't have it attached. Right. Understood.
Yeah,
However,
right. Yeah. Thank you.
however, that being said, in the interest of moving these proceedings forward, I'm fine with going ahead and doing the first reading today and making sure that we have, as Ms. Sorb said, as long as we have the documentation and we're able to study the document in time for the next finance meeting and the next general meeting.
I will withdraw my motion.
Okay.
Mr. President, I do apologize.
Ms. Nichols.
Is it the one that says letter from the local? Or does it have actual MOU on the top?
Honestly, I don't remember. I've sent so many documents at the end of this month. I know that I sent all of what Kyle sent to me, and I sent all of what Mr. Dieter sent to me. So if there was another attachment that needed to be placed with that, I sent you all everything that I got from both Kyle and Mr. Dieters. So the legislation came from Mr. Dieters. The MOU came from Kyle probably. So between everything that I sent you, you should have it. And at this point, I'm looking on my phone. So we can continue the first reading. That's where we would have landed anyway. We can review it again in Budget and Finance, and then it will be at the second reading for the month of August.
Mr.
Okay.
President,
Ms. DeWald.
I would like the notes to reflect that majority of council has been asked and no one has received it.
So if it is the letter from the local, then, but yeah, I was looking for something that actually said MOU,
Exactly.
which is what I was looking for, so. Okay, so we're gonna proceed with the first reading, and we need to, adopt the agenda.
Mr. President,
Ms. Zorb?
I'll make a motion. We accept the agenda as presented.
Mr. President,
Ms. DeWald?
I'll second that.
Motion by Ms. Zorb, second by Ms. DeWald to accept tonight's agenda as presented. Last call for discussion. Mr. Hedger, when you're ready, please call the roll.
Ms. Sorm,
Yes.
Ms. DeWald,
Yes.
Ms. Dukestein,
Yes.
Ms. Alexander,
Yes.
Mr. Wilson,
Yes.
Mr. Davis.
Yes.
Motion passed, 6-0.
Thank you. We have the council meeting minutes from June 3rd, 2024.
Mr. President,
Ms. Zorb?
I'll make a motion. We accept the minutes from the June 3rd meeting.
Motion by Ms. Zorb to accept the meeting minutes from 6/3/24.
Mr. President,
Ms. Dukestein?
I'd like to second that we accept the minutes from that June 3rd meeting.
Motion by Ms. Zorb, second by Ms. Dukestein to accept the minutes from 6/3/24. Any discussion? Mr. Hedger, please call the roll.
Ms. Dukestein.
Yes.
Excuse me, Ms. Zorb.
Yes.
Mr. Wald.
Yes.
Ms. Alexander.
Yes.
Mr. Wilson.
Yes.
Mr. Davis.
Yes.
Motion passed, 6-0.
Thank you. Any communication tonight, Mr. Hedger?
The only communication I have, Mr. President, is I did forward an email from a citizen about a speeding issue on their street. So if council could check their emails, I also forwarded it to the administration. I also received an email from Mr. Torrey to reminder to council to check their inboxes. It is in room H. So
Their
that's all.
physical mailboxes.
Their physical mailboxes.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
That's all, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Hedger. Next on the agenda is council committees, starting with City Community Development and Recreation.
Okay, we met on June 10th. We started our meeting late, but we did discuss the date and times for the public hearings for the CDBG funding options and also the 1,500 square feet zone changes. That date will be July 8th, starting at 5:45, and then the next one at 6 o'clock. We also discussed updating the park rental agreement. Discussion also ensued about ReThrive needing volunteers. Their next meeting is July 9th from 2 to 3 here at the Senior Center. We talked about the Juneteenth celebration, which was wonderful. The Stapleton Park ribbon cutting that will be coming up, heading for the car show later on this year. Ms. Ellis, the Senior Center coordinator, expressed they had discussed Tai Chi, but the seniors didn't really want that. They preferred bingo, which is fine. And further details for other programs will be placed on the website when available. There was no old business, but we did go into executive session at 8:04, and then we dismissed at 8:19. And our next committee meeting will be
I think it's the 8th.
Oh, it's the 8th, thank you, the 8th. But actually, that will be the public hearing at 5:45 here at the Senior Center. That's it.
Thank you, Ms. Alexander. Next is Budget and Finance.
We had quite the weighted agenda. We did not, on our agenda was to update with the splash pad, but unfortunately, Ms. Clear could not stay, so she's going to give us an update for July. We talked about the MOU for the fire department quite extensively. We were able to make some progress on the William Dunson Memorial. We made contact with Springfield Township. They are not able to help us participate, so we're moving forward and getting the memorial completed for that family. We talked about the legislation for the minors. We didn't really get very far on that, but I have since talked to Mr. Dieters, and he will have that legislation out as soon as we make contact with Rita. We talked about the audit results for 2022. And if you go out there to the website, you will find exactly what we've talked about in previous meetings, that we were not marked inauditable and that we were very much auditable in that year. The monthly finance update came from Finance Department, where she talked about the tax budget and where we are year to date on this month for our overall budget and our expenses hitting that. We did not talk about the city building update because we will plan to talk about that in July, because our time got very extended out as we were talking about the other issues. We went into executive session and we closed out. We did not have new or old business. And then our next meeting is July the 8th at 7:30 p.m.
Thank you, Ms. Dukestein. Next up, Rules and Public Policy.
Sorry,
Ms. Orb.
Mr. President. Ms. Dukestein, I know you said you were going to send out the city building documents.
Mm-hmm.
Have those been sent yet? Because I haven't
No,
seen
I'm
those
going to
either.
send them with the agenda for next month because it's on the agenda for July.
Okay, as long as we have them early enough time to read them before we come to the meeting. That would be
Okay.
awesome. Thank you.
All right, Rules and Public Policy. No,
That's Miss Underwood.
that's Ms. Underwood. Who's the backup to that one?
Mr. President, I believe Rules and Public Policy was canceled.
Okay.
So they did not meet, and they are also scheduled to meet. I don't know the time, but they're scheduled to meet on the 8th as well.
Thank you. Public Safety.
Public Safety did not meet last month. We also canceled our meeting. Our next meeting is July 8th, and if I remember right, I thought we were supposed to be at 8 o'clock. So, good luck. I don't know how that's going to unfold in August. I mean, next week. Because it's 6:30, 7:30. Oh, I'm sorry, no, I was doing it by the hour. Okay, so we should be 7:30. Thank you.
You guys are 7.
Seven.
You're at 7.
7, okay.
Still getting used to the new
All right,
schedule.
yes, it took me a minute to remember what the time schedule was for that. All right, ad hoc reports is next. Anyone have an ad hoc report this evening? Hearing none, we'll move to the administrative reports. Good evening, Madam Mayor, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll be brief. Since you said ad hoc, just want to remind everyone that we still need a representative for the OKI. Ms. Dewald couldn't no longer serve in that position, so if you guys want to think about it, I do know that they meet during the day. Ms. Dewald can give you all the information that you need because she so graciously served there. The Juneteenth celebration was amazing. Lots of volunteers. It was nice to see her. It was hot. No, it was nice to see everybody out, but it was really nice. The newsletter did go out. I know some people said that they did not get theirs. I believe, I can't remember the website off top, Ms. Clear, if you didn't get one. I saw something you put out. community@northcollegehill.org if you did not receive one. But also, there are some here and at other locations throughout the city. The islands are done on Hamilton. They look really nice. I had a conversation with, brief, not really a conversation, with Miss Anderson about Galbraith. If there was leftover funds from Hamilton, we're going to pour those over to Galbraith so Galbraith can look just as nice as Hamilton. I do know our Public Works was working to get that taken care of. We've also talked to Walgreens. They have allowed us to take care of that front portion as well. So I'm excited about that, to see if we can get that looking just as nice as our islands are. And finally, we are heading into our second round with our interviews for city administrator. So hopefully we can have that taken care of within the next week or so. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Ms. Nichols. Any questions for the mayor?
Mr. President,
Ms. Zorb?
Madam Mayor, I'm curious how many interviewees you have on the docket
Have we had
have made it to the second round?
4?
4 in the second round. Thank you.
All right, thank you. The next item is the city administrator's report, and as you hear, we are working towards getting a city administrator, so we'll move to the law director's report. Good evening, Mr. Dieters.
Mr. President, I do not have a report this evening.
Any questions for the law director? All right, and then the finance director's report, and the finance director is not with us this evening, so we'll move to call of members, starting with Ms. Zorb.
Thank you, Mr. President. I was able to make it to the Juneteenth festival. I had a conflict in the morning, so I didn't make it till later in the day. And I had a lot of fun. I brought my grandkids. They ran around, had a lot of fun. Had a, what is it? I call it icy.
Cone ice.
Thank you. They had a cone of ice. Sorry. It was fun. It was fun. So thank you for putting that on. I also wanted to point out that I received an email, I'm on a distribution list, from the Auditor of the State, Keith Faber's office. They issued a bulletin, it's 2024-005. It's regarding new state mandated training and reporting of fraud, waste, and abuse of public dollars. The training must be completed between July 1st and September 28th. That's a mandatory training for all elected and employees. So you have 90 days to complete that, and any new employees have 30 days to complete it, and it's going to be required again every 4 years. So
Mr.
heads up.
President,
Ms. Alexander?
can you repeat the name and?
How about if I send you the link?
Okay, yeah.
How's that?
That'll work.
Please forward the link.
Yep,
That will work.
you got it.
All right, thank you, Ms. Zorb.
Mr. President,
Oh.
actually, I will probably send the link to Janetta Anderson also so that she can make sure that the employees follow up.
Thank you.
Very welcome.
All right, next up is Ms. DeWald.
I have nothing to report, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Dukestein.
I'm happy to see Ms. DeWald back. Thank
Thank
you. And a big congratulations to P.O. Dallas. Like, that was, to me, very touching because he had lived in North College Hill, gone to school in North College Hill, and he still likes us well enough to come back and serve in North College Hill. So congratulations to him and his family. He seems like a wonderful young man. And I, too, attended the Juneteenth celebration. Ms. Clara, you did a really good job, and all those that helped to participate. I want to give a shout-out to Ms. Brunner. I saw her working really hard out there. Ms. Kiriton, thank you so much. I really enjoyed myself. I liked the little button that I received. My kids enjoyed themselves, and it was something for all ages. My little one did, and my teenager, which sometimes people don't do things for teenagers, and he was excited to have the little hoop bouncy thing there. And so I was like, he actually wanted to stay without me. So I was very excited. There were girls there as well, though.
So it wasn't the basketball.
And then I didn't actually receive a copy of the newsletter in the mail, but I got one with the link via email, and that was very enjoyable. I was happy to hear from the mayor, all the information in there. It was really, really good. Thank you for all that was that were on that team, because it was very good. I thought it was very well put together. So thank you. And then the islands, like Mayor said, they look great. I'm happy to see so many positive things happening all in a big cluster in NCH. We're headed in the right direction. And then thank you so much, Ms. Zorb, for that training. Thank you for sending out that link. Do you know if it has a cost with it, or do we just have to take it?
I did not click on the link, so I don't know positively, but I believe it's free.
And is it virtual, or do we have to attend?
It's online. I'm going to stop answering questions I don't firmly know the answer to.
Just forward the link.
Yep.
All right, thank you, because I don't, in person? Okay, that's all.
Thank you. Ms. Alexander.
I'd like to welcome Officer Dallas as well. It's great when we have, as the mayor said, new family come and people who are vested in the community. I would also like to welcome Mr. Wilson.
Oh, yeah.
Got a little side-arm here now. You know, he took my purse space. I was keeping my purse right there, but, you know, like to welcome you here. Also, the Juneteenth celebration was wonderful. My kids enjoyed ourselves. I like to thank Ms. Curitan and Ms. Clear and everyone else who was involved, all the vendors. And I actually saw people who I went to school with, who I hadn't seen in years, who were actually, you know, participants, signing people up to vote and encouraging community involvement. Let's see, who else? I got the welcome letter. I was so excited about the welcome letter. I started sending out emails and posting things, and it was just like, oh, this is a keeper. And I'm super excited because I have a new neighbor across the street, and I can't wait to go over there. I don't want to give her my newsletter, so I'm hoping there's an extra newsletter here because I would like to go in personally. That'll be my chance to go over and introduce myself and, tell her, briefly what's going on in the area and stuff like that. So this letter came right on time. I'm waving at her, hey, welcome to the neighborhood, and stuff like that. So yes, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Wilson.
Hey, hello, everybody. Good evening. I want to say to the Juneteenth, excellent job. You guys did a great job. Really appreciate everyone that put in the effort to make that happen. I'm looking forward to next year. I think with the individuals involved, it's going to get even better. I want to say, thank you for every council member that welcomed me to the team. I am very appreciative of having the opportunity to represent North College Hill, and I'm going to do my best to make sure that the residents of North College Hill best interest comes first. And I would like to say thank you to the mayor and her administration for everything that you guys do. I know it's hard work, but we appreciate it.
Thank you. And Mr. Davis.
And once again, I'd like to piggyback with everybody else. Hey, thank y'all for all y'all efforts to put the Juneteenth Jam together, get that done. It was done very well. I apologize. I was tardy / absent to that, but let's just say maybe it fits a pattern. I apologize. But also, of course, I like to show appreciation to all of our city workers. The public works folk, they was working on a down tree in a monsoon on their day off yesterday. I like to say I greatly appreciate them, all of our city workers, and also we are doing code enforcement. I got a door store flyer today about a couple hedges I got that need to trim an edge up. So that's just a reminder that we are doing code enforcement. And I'd like to thank them for their help and their work doing their job. Appreciate y'all.
Thank you, Mr. Davis.
Hey, Mr. President,
Ms. Zorb.
I have a quick update. I just clicked on the email. It says the training is an on-demand virtual training for which employees can self-register for free. So,
Questions answered.
Did that answer all the questions?
Thank
All right.
you.
Yep.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Zorb.
Mr. President, I'm sorry. I do
Ms. Nichols.
apologize. I did want to point out one other thing, maybe 2 or 3, but thanks to ICRC, the speakers are up. You guys, we all sound a whole lot better than before.
Okay.
So the speakers are in the ceiling.
That explains why I can hear you.
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Thank you for pointing that out. All right. Next up is remarks from the audience. Mr. Hedger, do we have anyone signed in this evening?
Yes, Mr. President, we have Ned Heger Brim.
Good evening. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to speak. My name's Ned Heger Brim. I am at the Groesbeck Branch Library. If you need anything at the library, make sure you reach out to me. Stop by, email, whatever you'd like. I'm just going to be really quick. I've got 2 things. First is that there are officially 30 days left to join the library's summer reading program. It's super easy, and the good news is you get a free book just for joining. So if you know any kids that need to join the summer reading program, bring them on down, they'll get a free book. Studies show that reading at least 20 minutes a day has a powerful impact on children's reading ability. So that's what we're shooting for this summer. We want them to read for at least 20 minutes a day for 25 days, and then they'll get a prize. We also have a fun Wonder Wheel the kids get to spin and get a prize right on the spot, so bring them down for that. The second thing is I want to invite everybody down to the main library's grand reopening party the weekend, July 12th through 14th. You may not be aware that the Cincinnati Downtown Library is the 5th largest library building in the nation. Wow. It's huge. We're very proud of that. And we're very excited that it's has gotten a much-deserved renovation, and it really looks great. There are a lot of activities that weekend, but the one I want to really promote is they're going to try to break a world record. I didn't even know there was a world record for this, but it's to have the most library card signups in a single day. And so they're going to be doing it Saturday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. So if you need a library card, come down, get registered, and be part of that. But even if you don't, there's going to be a lot of activities, and the building really looks great. It's just a really nice reopening. It took a long time, but I'd like to invite everybody down for that. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Mr.
Thank
President?
you.
Ms. Zorb.
I'm sorry, Mr. Hegerbrem, I have a question.
Yeah.
The summer reading program, is that just for Hamilton County children?
Most libraries do a summer reading program. I think there's one throughout Ohio, but this is just the Hamilton County one. So, but you can stop in at any library branch. You can turn in your reading, your 25 days of reading in any library branch. We're obviously always in competition with all the other branches, so we like to be number one. But we want to support College Hill and Mount Healthy as well. They're our sister libraries. We love them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
My
you, sir.
first job was the library. I worked at the Norwood Library when I was 14. Summer reading program was going on way back then, too.
All right, Mr. Hedger, who do you have next?
Kathy Curitan.
Good evening, Kathy Curitan, 6718 Devonwood Drive. First, off record, don't time me for this portion. Thank you for everyone who came out for the Juneteenth event. I saw Miss Alexander, Miss Dukestein, Mary Jo, and Zorb, and our mayor. And our police chief was present. How about that? Yes, so thank you all for coming out. Now let's get to business. I feel like this format, because I'm definitely a talker and I'm a straight shooter, and I feel like this format would be more efficient and timely for our meeting tonight. I'm going to pose the question. The person who I believe is responsible for answering the question, I will take my seat, and I will ask that you then proceed in answering. The very first place I would like to start is with what Ms. Dukestein provided tonight. And unfortunately, I was out of town, so I did miss the finance meeting. However, I do believe that you provided an extensive clarification regarding the audit, and that North College Hill was not inauditable, and that the findings that were posted were inaccurate. Now, I do believe that's a negative reflection on the city of North College Hill. I do believe we have measures in place. That if there's anything inaccurately posted, that can be redacted. And if there's anything that needs to be done from a legalistic standpoint, we have our law director. So, Mr. Dieters, now that we know for a fact that North College Hill, the document that was posted by our auditor's website, State of Ohio, that document was inaccurate. I would like to find out, A, did you ever contact the State of Ohio to ask them to redact all findings and statements stating that North College Hill was inauditable? And then B, if you have not, are you desiring to do so? That's for you. And namely, specifically, asking them to pull that document down and then even post something stating that what was posted is inaccurate. Again, the city has been through so much, and I believe that would allow us to look a lot less embarrassing. The next question I have for you is, Madam Mayor, is I'm glad to hear that we have 4 candidates for city manager. That's been a vacant spot for a long time and a sore spot for our city. However, at our meeting June 3rd, I did ask if we could potentially meet these candidates, put a name with a face, potentially a background, to kind of see who's going to be running and partnering with you on our city. So I would like to see if you have any further thought and consideration in allowing us to meet the top 4 candidates. Ultimately, you and whomever you selected will make the final decision, but I think that would be great if you can allow us to meet them, if you can answer that question with a yay or nay. Mr. Davis, on our June 3rd meeting, it was the May, before we went on summer terms, you mentioned that you were going to work with Mr. Huffman and some others regarding the installation of the trash cans. And at the June 3rd meeting, we did not have an update. And I know that our public works have indicated they spend a substantial amount of time daily picking up trash. So I'm wondering if you have an update regarding, what is that noise?
It's a 3-minute time limit.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Let me talk very fast. If you have an update on the trash can installations, I would also like to find out if we have, I know that we want to be super sensitive on the police and fire investigations because we do not want to inundate those who are being, those who are investigating the whole thing. I'm just wondering, is it coming to an end anytime soon? I think, and I say this, and I don't say it lightly, but he needs to be the chief. He's doing the work. He's doing excellent. I mean, excellent. The feedback that I hear is top tier. So I would like to know if our city is ready to move forward and get him in his place if he desires so. And very, very quickly, this question would go to, I believe, Ms. Alexander regarding the renting out of the senior center and any splash pad updates. Thank you for your time, and I do apologize for exceeding my time limit.
Thank you. I believe, Mr. Dieters, you were first on the list.
Mr. President, I would have to, this is the first I've heard of any response to that, so I'd have to look into it. I don't have any way to respond to that issue at this time.
Okay, who was next on the list?
It was the question for me.
Madam Mayor.
So to answer your question, Ms. Curitan, I think for privacy issues, now you know sometimes when you're doing this, a lot of times those candidates, their current employers are not aware that they're looking for a job. So I don't have a problem once the candidate is selected, but I think during the process, I just don't think for their privacy issues that it would be fair to them. Now, I don't know if their employers are aware, and to put their names out before a decision is made. Now, if they choose to tell someone, then that's on them. But I just don't think for privacy reasons I would, want to put them out there that way.
Mr. Davis.
It's
next.
up on me next.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So in regards, I'm blanking on Big Dave's last name. I want to Huffman. Bingo. Yes. So there were some containers out. There were some containers out back, but they ended up having to use some of those in the asbestos removal. And then there was a follow up to that, to where I attempted to buy some trash cans myself, but apparently a private citizen cannot go on the gov deals and purchase those myself. Rookie mistake. Didn't know. I now know that there are things that you have to do going forward and with purchase orders and how to properly procure things from the state. I've learned that out. Chalk that up to my personally not knowing the process. I know the process, and we are still working on that.
Ms. Alexander, next.
All right. In regards to renting the senior center, I know they're still working on some aesthetics here in the center as far as like getting a special lock on the door, and cameras, and a rental agreement. I know Ms. Clear has been working extensively on that. She may be able to provide more of an update as to where we are, but I feel like we are very close. And also with the splash pad issues, it's still an issue of funding, and Ms. Clear, if I may say, she may have a little bit more update on that as to where we are and as far as funds, because of course the costs of the supplies have went up. And that's what I have on that.
Mr. President, if I could elaborate.
Ms. Nichols.
The cameras are already installed, and I think we're pretty much done with the agreement. So we're really close to the doors. We keep having issues where they have to change, come out, but I think it's slated to start within the next week or two.
Thank you, Mayor.
And I think you had one last one for the mayor, correct?
Can you repeat it?
Mr. President.
I'm sorry.
Ms. Dukestein.
Before you move on, I'd just like to say Ms. Clear did agree to attend the July 8th Budget and Finance meeting to give the splash pad update for where we are financially, and she might throw some other things in there for us.
And then the final question you had for the mayor.
See how close we are to putting the nice, pretty ribbon, sending them on their way for the whole police and fire investigation. The weekends and city move forward.
Actually, that is actually, I got a call last week, so we're at the end, I believe, at the end. So I believe they have completed, or just at the tail end, maybe a couple more interviews that they need to do. And actually, we're scheduling a meeting where I'm meeting with the investigator next week.
All right, thank you, everyone. Mr. Hedger, who's next?
We have Ross Miller.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ross Miller, North College Hill resident for many years now, 30 plus. I live on Center Ridge Avenue. Center Ridge Avenue. Yeah.
Center Ridge Avenue.
The busiest street other than Hamilton Avenue, yes, right? So I've inquired a few times about the traffic on Center Ridge Avenue. I live in the 1700 block, right by Bising Avenue. And traffic is so extensive on that street, you know, coming either way, going east or west. It's just any time of day it's bad. Getting out of my driveway is bad. The speeding is excessive on that street. In the past years, the Memorial Day Zoo or the parade used to come up the street. It hasn't come up there in the past couple of years now. We finally did get the road repaired, new sidewalks, curbs, aprons, all that good stuff, yeah. But the traffic is pretty bad. When the Kroger first started down there at the end of the block, the traffic was bad trying to get in and out, turning left and turning right. So I did come to council about that. You guys straighten that out, preventing one car from tying up the whole turn lane. But if you really could do something about the excessive traffic on Center Ridge Avenue, it's getting really unbearable for me. It's got me really wanting to put the place up for sale and just get out, man. I mean, it's like that's how bad it is. I'm retired, and I come and go as I please. But oh man, Center Ridge Avenue is just it needs to be addressed. You can make it a one-way. You have the speed bumps on Bising Avenue. I'm pretty sure it slowed the traffic down on Bising Avenue. You can install those speed bumps on Center Ridge Avenue if you're not going to bring the parade back up and down there. I'd be okay with that. I mean, you probably don't want to make it a one-way either, east or west. You probably don't want to do that. But it does need to be addressed. It's not enough room for two cars to get by there. And, I've got a newer car, and I don't want it wrecked, trying to let somebody by. So if that can be, if you guys can take a look at that, that'd be great. And my only other concern in the city right now is Hamilton Avenue, obviously, down by the school with all the speeding and everything. It looks like you're coming off that interstate, and it looks like it's still maybe 35 or but you get it up by the school, and there's a lot of cars still excessively speeding. And I like to see the police officers, intervene a lot more on that. So it's really all I have. But my main concern is Center Ridge Avenue.
Yes, sir. Mr. President.
Mr. President, oh, sorry.
I live on Center Ridge Avenue. So that has been my fight as well. I've talked to the police chief. I've been there for 20 years. cars have been, my mirror has been swiped, broken off, my neighbors several times. And you're right, it's like playing chicken.
So what's happening is, instead of the cars coming off the interstate and going down Hamilton down to Galbraith and coming through our city and stopping at the bakery and stopping at our stores and shops, they're cutting through Center Ridge Avenue.
And trying to beat the light to get on the highway.
Yes, so please,
yes, I'm
yeah.
there with your fight.
Get them back, get them off of Center Ridge Avenue,
And I believe that they did a traffic study on Center Ridge Avenue, because I like I said, I've been on it. You know, I've raised my children there. They're still there. We have a lot of, seniors there, and trying to cross the street and things of that nature. It's
yeah, I'm not gonna leave North College. I've been here a long time, raised my kids, my family here. My daughter, Michelle Miller, still works at the school now and everything.
I know Michelle.
Yeah, so I'm not going anywhere, but just take care of Center Ridge Avenue.
But yeah.
And Mr. President.
Mr. Davis.
Okay. So Chief Cheney, he's been on the traffic meter doing a traffic speed study, and I know Center Ridge is one of the priorities. As also we've got notes that Labato, if I'm pronouncing that right, from Laboido, learn something new every day. Laboido from Knoll Ridge to Bising is also a priority in that traffic meter speed study. So Chief Cheney, they're working on it. They are addressing it.
Mr. President.
And Mr. Cheney also has a microphone. Let's see what we got. Chief Cheney has a microphone.
I have Ms. Dukes-Dean next.
And I would like to second that. I know that they are, between our Public Works Department moving our speedometer thingy, I don't know exactly what it's called, to kind of watch the traffic to see how fast people are going. I feel like if we get a police officer out there, and I'll give you a chance to speak to it, and they start getting ticketed more for speeding, they will be less likely to use that street as a diversion to Hamilton Avenue. So I'm pretty sure he's on it, and I'll let him speak to that because he has the mic if Mr. Graver allows.
Mr. Cheney, would you like to add to that?
Yeah, so we did do a traffic study on Center Ridge. I think it was about 3-4 weeks ago, and 85% of the traffic was within 5 miles of the 25-mile-an-hour speed limit. So there is speeding. Obviously, there's speeding everywhere, but the majority of traffic, like I said, 85% was within the 25-mile-an-hour speed limit. We just completed one that we just pulled the numbers for the section that Mr. Wilson does most of his trash pickup between Bobolink and Marvin, and it was not good. We actually had, within a week period, we had 11 vehicles almost reach 80 to 99 miles an hour. We had 11,000 vehicles that were from 40 to 60 miles an hour. So it's a huge concern. We just put something out to our people we're going to make a huge effort in that area the next 3 weeks. I had a traffic safety meeting today with the state. It's a countywide meeting. Talked to OSP. They are willing to come in and also do some traffic safety for us as well. So we will have them out there as well. So it's just a matter of getting that scheduled with them. They're short-staffed like the rest of us. So we are aware. We're trying to do everything we can. So,
Mr. President.
Ms. Alexander.
And Chief Cheney, I saw where the little strip was.
yes, ma'am.
And me just living on the street, where the strip was, it was not the part that they speed at.
Okay.
And when I saw it, I was like, oh, I wish they would move it down a little further, because that's
Yeah.
when they would really get it. So I know sometimes positioning where the...
Yeah,
it's
unfortunately,
hard-
in some areas, we're limited just because of
Yeah.
parking. Because when we did have it on Center Ridge, we lost a whole day because somebody actually parked over and they were parked on top of it, so it was not able to register anything. So
Got you.
it's difficult.
But
And
I
then
agree with Ms. Dukes.
when it was on
maybe if we
Galbraith,
had-
we actually lost a whole day too because
Okay.
somebody came and went through and damaged the
Oh, wow.
instrument as well. So
Yeah, I think police presence will probably
yes,
detour.
Mr.
Thank you.
President.
Mr. Wilson.
So I was listening to the gentleman's complaint, and I was hearing that he said that it was not enough space for 2 vehicles to travel down that road, and in the manner that it was designed to. Is there some way to look into that? Like she said, she lost her.
that would have to be the county engineers would have to come in.
I'm just saying, is
Mr.
it?
Dieters may be able to correct me on that, but I believe it'd have to be the county engineers would have to do a study.
Is there a Pacific department, like, would that be Public Works that would look into that? Like, who would look into?
I think we'd have
them?
to make a request for the county engineers to come out.
Who is we?
The city
Okay,
would have to make a
got you.
request.
That's what I'm trying to understand. Okay, then, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Appreciate it. Mr. Hedger, anyone else?
Yes, we have a LaMonica Horton.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for giving me a chance to speak. I am here, and it's in regards to one of your seated members, Mrs. DeWalt, on May the 8th of 2024, around 8-something p.m., we had an altercation. My husband had just came home from work. Of course, he parked up the street with his truck and trailer across the street from her house. Before my husband had a chance to get out of the truck, she approached him. And she approached him with an aggressive attitude. It led to different things. It led to Ms. DeWalt referring to my husband as an ass numerous times. She told us we wasn't good Christians. I tried to talk to her at first. She became more violently loud with the situation. It led to me where I stepped to Ms. DeWalt. She raised her hand back and told me that she would hit me. So I think that there needs to be a new call to action, because in this conversation, I understand that she had a lot of things going on, but she referred to me and my husband as you people quite a few times, which is very unacceptable. We have lived on that street for 11 years, Jamar, and at the time that Mrs. DeWalt, and yes, I'm still respecting you, which I don't feel like I should, but I am. My husband has approached you more than once and said, if you ever need me to move my trailer, let me know and it can be done. But you call my husband an ass in front of our children, my 9 and my 10-year-old. So I don't feel like you're representing North College Hill in a manner that you're sitting here, because I was very shocked. You haven't spoke one word to me since that incident, and you spoke to me today. I feel like that was the biggest hypocritical thing that you could have did. But more importantly, you called the police on us that night. One officer came down. Then shortly after that, another officer came down, Officer Corkin. And instead of immediately coming to me at my husband's address and asking us about the situation, he went to one of our neighbors and asked them, hey, do you have a problem with his truck and trailer here? And the neighbor replied, yeah, I do, but hey, it's here. He's not bothering us. The point that I'm making is that you could have approached us differently than how you approached us. And at the point that you disrespected my husband and you disrespected my family, that's why I'm here. So in order to show up and make my presence known, because you can't treat people any kind of way and expect to get away with it. And out of respect, not for you, but for your husband, because he's going through something, I did not press charges against you when you threatened to hit me. And I do not like the fact that you use the police for your personal vendetta, because The incident happened on 5/8, and then comes 5/19, 5/18. The police knocked on our door several more times. Why? Someone called and complained that his truck and trailer was there again. That truck and trailer does not sit there 24 hours a day, because my husband owns his own landscaping and power washing. So he's out, and he did not come home until after 8 o'clock. And at the point that you have a sitting council member that was very disrespectful, especially in front of minor children, and you constantly refer to us as you people, not good Christians, that is not how a person who represents North College Hill, which I've been a resident for 11 years, should be conducting herself and representing me.
Ms. Horton, your time is up. So
Well, I still wanted you to know what was going on.
Yes, ma'am.
And I feel like if I'd have knew it would have been a 3-minute limit, I'll come back to the next meeting and I'll shorten it and repeat it again. But something needs to be done, and you cannot use the police for your personal vendettas. That has to stop. And again, I'm here. I don't care who else might stand up or who else might say anything else, but she should not be sitting on this council member representing the community of North College Hill if that's how she feels, especially against melanated people.
Thank you, Ms. Horton. Ms. Curitan, please. No, Ms. Curitan, please. I don't want to have to ask you to leave. Thank you. Mr. Hedger, is there anyone else?
No, Mr. President.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to legislation.
We have second reading ordinance number 3, 2024, an ordinance to establish a police department special revenue fund for the receipt and deposit of revenues from the police department, City of North College Hill, tow and impound lot.
Thank you. Next item.
First reading ordinance number 4, 2024, an ordinance to amend and establish salaries and staffing levels for the city employees pursuant to the requirements of section 3.06 of the City of North College Hill Charter and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. Next item.
First reading resolution number 8, 2024, a resolution of the City of North College, the City Council for the City of North College Hill, Hamilton County, Ohio, approving the memorandum of understanding between the IAFF North College Hill Firefighters Collective Bargaining Unit, local number 5279, here and after referred to as IAFF.
That's all the items we have for readings tonight as legislation. Thank you, Mr. Hedger. So that brings us to further remarks from the audience as it pertains to any of these three legislative items. All right, we'll move to old business.
Mr. President,
Ms. Dukestein.
I just want to say nobody said anything when the lady back here spoke. I do think that it won't go ignored. We will look at what happened and put it in, I don't know, what is it, rules and public policy or whatever. I just don't want you to feel ignored. All of council heard you. We will go forward. I guess it's unprecedented because we've not had anything like this before. So I don't want you to feel unheard and no one address your concerns.
Thank you. Any other old business? Okay, moving to new business, I have two things before we bring up the executive session. One, Mr. Hedger had asked me to see if council would be willing to make a motion to authorize Mr. Hedger to work with administration to find a vendor that can potentially digitize all of our documents. So if you have any questions, you can ask Mr. Hedger. But he is asking for us to make a motion to authorize him to work with administration to find a vendor to help digitize all of our council documents.
Mr. President.
Mr. President.
And Mr. Hedger first.
I just wanted to add that with digitizing these records, we have thousands of documents in those file cabinets from, I believe, 1955, 59, whenever we became a city, that are not digitized. We've had an unprecedented number of record requests in the last 3 months. To be able to fill those requests, to be more efficient as a city in the 21st century, I think it's important that we digitize these into a searchable document. And unfortunately, that's not something I could do, or I think is fair to ask anyone else in the city to do. And I think it requires outside help.
Mr. President.
Ms. DeWalt.
As being clerk at one time, I completely understand your issues. I'd like to make a motion that we digitize the city's records.
So I think we actually want a motion to authorize Mr. Hedger to work with administration
Okay,
to
then I
find
author-
someone to digitize.
Make a motion to authorize, as you put it.
Mr. President,
Mr. Wilson.
I'd like to second that motion. Motion.
You gonna sing a song for us next?
Yeah, I got you. Hey, I'm gonna make it sound good too.
All right, so the motion is to authorize Mr. Hedger to work with administration to find a vendor to digitize old council documents. That motion was by Ms. DeWald, seconded by Mr. Wilson. Any discussion? Mr. Hedger, when you're ready, please call the roll.
Ms. Sorb,
Yes.
Ms. DeWald,
Yes.
Ms. Dukestein,
Yes.
Ms. Alexander.
Yes.
Mr. Wilson.
Yes.
Mr. Davis.
Yes.
Motion passed, 6-0.
Thank you. The other thing then that I had thought about is, Mr. Wilson, just making sure that you are tracking to the fact that you need to choose committees to join.
Sure. I
So.
was gonna, Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
I was gonna make that motion once you got done. If you can, did you receive my email?
If I did, I missed it, sir. I apologize. If you emailed me, I apologize. I was on vacation last week,
Yes, sir.
and I'm a little detached at the moment.
That's okay. Well, Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Wilson.
I would like to be assigned to all the committees.
To all the committees?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
All of them. Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
I would also like to volunteer to be the chairman of Recreation.
Okay. Do we need motions for both of those?
Do it all in one.
Yeah, so does somebody want to make the motion, or we want to let Mr. Wilson make his own motion?
Mr. President,
Mrs. Orb?
I'd like to make a motion to assign Mr. Wilson as a representative on all 4 committees and chair the CCDR.
Mr. President,
Mr. Davis?
I'll second that motion.
All right, motion by Ms. Orb, seconded by Mr. Davis to assign Mr. Wilson to all 4 committees and to be the chair of the City Community Development and Recreation. Any discussion? Mr. Hedger, please call the roll.
Ms. Sorb,
Yes.
Ms. DeWald,
Yes.
Ms. Dukestein,
Yes.
Ms. Alexander,
Yes.
Mr. Wilson,
Yes.
Mr. Davis.
Yes.
Motion passed, 6-0.
Thank you. Any other new business?
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion that we go into executive session to talk about the salaries of public employees. I do not know the specific ORC.
Mr. President, before we go there, I do have new business that needs to be done before executive session.
Is that all right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Ms. DeWald?
I have turned my letter of resignation into Mr. Hedger tonight. I will mail it to the Board of Elections tomorrow. My time here is done at 11:59 tonight.
Sorry to see you go.
You don't know how hard it was.
You said effective?
Effective
this
11:59 tonight.
Okay. All right, so you said Mr. Hedger already has the letter and you'll take care of the.
I gave it to
the
him
Board of
before the
Election.
meeting.
All right. Thank you, Ms. DeWald. Thank you for your many, many years.
It's time.
Yes, ma'am. All right, thank you. All right,
Mr. President, I'd like
Yes.
to make a motion to move into executive session for the discussion of our 2024 salary ordinance, which talks about salaries for public employees. I do not know the specific,
Mr. President?
Mr.
I did look
President.
it up. It's ORC Section 121.22.
ORC
Section
121.
121.
Dot
oh,
122.
Mr.
Dot
President,
122. Thank you, Ms. Orb.
Mr. Hedger.
to bring you the reading, so you can, I believe it has to be the specific readings
Okay,
from.
please, if you don't mind.
It's right
Does she
here.
just have it right there?
Start right here.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yep.
To be clear, this was a impromptu executive session, so I wasn't exactly prepared. So I would like to make a motion to enter into executive session to consider the purchase of property for the public purposes.
No.
Is that the one at the
No.
top? Okay.
The second one.
I am reading the second one.
No, you want the first one.
Okay.
The second one's the
Sorry.
public property.
Okay, thank you. I would like to make a motion to enter into executive session to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee or official, or the investigation of charges or complaints against a public employee, official, licensed, or regulated individual, unless the public employee, official, licensed, or regulated individual requests a public hearing. Except as otherwise provided by law, no public body shall hold an executive session for the discipline of an elected official, for conduct related to the performance of an elected official's duties, or for the elected official's removal from office. If the public body holds an executive session pursuant of Division G1 of this section, the motion and vote to hold that executive session shall state which one or more of the approved purposes listed in Division G1 of this section are the purposes for which the executive session is to be held, but need not include the name of any person to be considered at the meeting. Thank you.
All right, we have a motion by Ms. Dukestein. Need a second?
Mr. President, I'll second.
Motion by Ms. Zorb to move into executive session according to ORC Section 121.122. I'm not going to read through all of that, but it's about employment and compensation. Mr. Hedger, please call the roll.
Ms. Orm,
Yes.
Mr. Wald,
Yes.
Ms. Dukestein,
Yes.
Miss Alexander,
Yes.
Mr. Wilson,
Yes.
Mr. Davis.
Yes.
Thank you. Vote. Motion passed 6-0.
All right, we will move into executive session, and when we're done, we will come out and adjourn our meeting. Thank you. Meeting back to order at 9:24 p.m. I believe we covered all new business, so we only have one item left to handle.
Mr. President,
Ms. Dewald.
I move to adjourn.
Mr. President,
Ms. Zorb.
I'll second.
Motion by Ms. Dewald to adjourn, seconded by Ms. Zorb. Any discussion? Okay, I will call the roll. Ms. Zorb.
Yes.
Ms. Dewald.
Yes.
Ms. Dukestein.
Yes.
Ms. Alexander.
Yes.
Mr. Wilson.
Yes.
Mr. Davis.
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0. We are adjourned at 9:25 p.m.
I need to
Thank
go to
you.
the mailbox too. Where in the heck is that?